By identifying talents and preferences that lead people to feel a particular way, you can place them in jobs at which they will likely excel. At Bridgewater, we used a test called Team Dimensions Profile to connect people with their preferred role. The 5 types identified by the TDP are creators, refiners, advancers, executors, and flexors. Dalio principles, and I have finally figured out how to get the Zoom onto high definition, which is really amazing. Quickly have a look. Somebody is joining us. There we go. Mladen is there. And we will just let Mladen in, and then we'll get started. So, Skylar Gray, thank you for the hearts. Sarah Sawa, thank you for the hearts as well. And Rhonda Rousey has joined. And We Love Bulwell is here as well. And Mladen has just joined on the Zoom. So we have high definition today, which is going to make the Zoom recording, which we put up on YouTube, so much better. I am very excited by this. I did not know that there was a button for it. I thought it was my lighting. It turns out it was just the computer. But you didn't come here to talk about technology with me. We came to read Ray Dalio principles. We are up to part E of a section which is called Find Out What You and Others Are Like. So we had to talk about introversion and extroversion, intuiting and sensing, thinking versus feeling, planning versus perceiving. And now we're going to be talking about creators versus refiners versus advancers versus executors versus flexors. Let's get into it. I am excited, and I'll tell you more later, and I'll go and say hello to everybody on the Bigo as well. Really appreciate you joining, and let's learn together, be motivated together, and achieve some amazing things today. By identifying talents and preferences that lead people to feel a particular way, you can place them in jobs at which they will likely excel. At Bridgewater, we used a test called Team Dimensions Profile to connect people with their preferred role. The 5 types identified by the TDP are creators, refiners, advancers, executors, and flexors. Creators generate new ideas and original concepts. They prefer unstructured and abstract activities and thrive on innovation and unconventional practices. Advancers communicate these new ideas and carry them forward. They relish feelings and relationships and manage the human factors. They are excellent at generating enthusiasm for work. Refiners challenge ideas. They analyze projects for flaws, then refine them with a focus on objectivity and analysis. They love facts and theories and working with a systematic approach. Executors can also be thought of as implementers. They ensure that important activities are carried out and goals accomplished. They are focused on details and the bottom line. Flexors are a combination of all 4 types. They can adapt their styles to fit certain needs and are able to look at problems from a variety of perspectives. Quick question for you. Which one do you think that you are? Triangulating what I learned from each test reinforces or raises questions about the pictures of people I'm forming in my head. For example, when people's MBTI results suggest a preference for S, focus on details, and J, planful, and they come out as executors on the Team Dimension assessment, there's a very good chance that they are more detail-focused than right-brained and imaginative, which means that they would likely fit better in jobs that have less ambiguity and more structure and clarity. Now, this is also the case for investing. Yesterday, I sent through some newsletters to my VA with regards to some ideas about investing that I have been experiencing and that I wanted to share with everybody. The interesting thing is that I was talking about how excited you can get and how curious you are about the topic that you are researching. So when you first start at your first ever job, it will take a while before you actually get the hang of it. You're going to have lots of questions. Things are not going to make sense. You're not going to know what the answers are to certain things. But once you've been working somewhere for about 6 to 7, maybe 8 months, you've come across most things. And so you know how it works, and you'd be able to train somebody else. And when somebody asks you the same questions, you know the answers to those. And it's the same with this kind of thing. The more you research the stock market and learn things and look up strategies and you look up formulas and you look up calculations, and the more you understand, the deeper you go, the more you're going to be able to succeed at it. The same with foreign exchange or business or whatever topic it is that you want to get good at or investing. What a lot of people do is, or what some people do, unfortunately, what some people do is they will just learn something very, very basic and then go with that and not add any new skills or knowledge. What you really need to be doing is you need to be taking that and expanding that knowledge. So, for example, imagine you go to a doctor. I think I've shared this story before, but some of you are new, so let's share the story again. Imagine you go to a doctor and you're sitting in the doctor's office and you notice that they have a bookshelf, but it is completely empty. And so you ask the doctor, who's probably in their 40s, say, "Doctor, I noticed you don't have any books." And the doctor looks at you and says, "No." He says, "When I finished high school, I promised myself that I would never read a book again because I was sick of reading books." And you say, "Surely you must have read something about like medicine, or you must have kept studying the subject that you're doing now." And the doctor says, "No, I learned everything I needed to learn at university, and I have not studied a single medical text since then." How confident would you feel about working with this doctor and having him operate on you? Probably not very much, because obviously things change. You want them to be at the cutting edge of new technologies. You want them to be able to be the best at what they do. And you are the surgeon of your investing. If you want to have investing success, you are going to want to keep studying and keep learning, and you might discover new strategies. So, for example, I have long been in business, and I continue to learn and go to seminars, and I want to know more strategies, more calculations, more business models. I want to know it all. When it comes to real estate, I have started looking at new strategies based on things that I haven't done before. When it comes to the stock market, I have had certain amounts of success, and I moved from stock market only to also doing options. And now I am learning even more about options. And when it comes to investing, I haven't had enough. I want to also be able to learn about and understand Forex and other things as well. Now, why do I want to be able to do this? Because let's say that one of my industries is not doing so well. Let's say that the stock market is really bad at the moment. Well, the real estate market might be doing really well. So I can move my funds from the stock market to real estate. However, let's say that I only understand real estate and I have no idea about the stock market. Other way around, that's okay. If I only have knowledge in one area and that area is not doing so well, then how am I going to be able to move it across? I would probably fail in the other area because I've only just started learning about it. So if I have an understanding of things, and the deeper I go, the more curious I am, the more I will understand about each of them, the easier it is for me to then move across from one to the other if things aren't going so well. This is why successful people continue to be successful, because rather than rely on one thing, if something goes wrong in that one area, they can move it somewhere else and still be successful in that other area. But if you are only learning one strategy and sticking to that one strategy, and you have to relearn when you move it across to another area, then you are likely to get into some trouble along the way. So it's the same with this. So if you want to become good at understanding personalities and understanding the psychology behind the stock market, you need to understand people. And these tests, when you start doing them, you'll have a basic understanding, but you want to understand deeper and more about it. And when it comes to investing, you are definitely going to want to go deeper. So it is really important for you to understand who you are as a person. It's important to understand who other people are. And that is going to allow you to be better at your investing, because in business, you're going to be dealing with customers and shareholders and suppliers and different other people. If you're in the stock market, you're going to have the psychology of the masses that you need to understand. Why does a stock go to a certain level and then stop, and then it might retract? There is psychology behind it. There is a reason for it, and it is the psychology of human behavior. And if you understand that, so for example, in foreign exchange, one thing that will happen is that, let's say that the price of the euro US dollar is 1.50699. Now, you know that it might go up, so you place a trade and it goes up to 700. It will stick at 700 for a while. Why is that? Because humans like round numbers. So if I buy somewhere just above 600, then that means that it is going to get to, let's say, almost 700, which means I've almost made $100. I see the round number and I think, wow, this is maybe where it will turn. Other people are going to see that round number and they're going to start selling. So I need to get out of that position. The other thing that happens is when I see that I have $100, I feel like, oh, it's ticked over from 2 digits to 3 digits. This is a place where I want to sell. So when you understand the psychology and you understand people, you're going to have a lot more success in your investing. So these are really, really great tools for you to be able to do that. And as I mentioned, you have a couple that Ray Dalio has mentioned. There's also the Colbert Index and lots of really interesting things that we can learn about that make us better investors. So don't just learn one strategy and stick to that and do nothing else. Keep learning, stay curious, and you will start to see some really amazing things happening. Part F, focusing on tasks versus focusing on goals. Some people are focused on daily tasks, while others are focused on their goals and how to achieve them. I found these differences to be quite similar to the differences between people who are intuitive versus sensing. Those who tend to focus on goals and visualize best can see the big pictures over time and are also more likely to make meaningful changes and anticipate future events. These goals-oriented people can step back from the day-to-day and reflect on what and how they're doing. They are the most suitable for creating new things, organizations, projects, etc., and managing organizations that have lots of change. They typically make the most visionary leaders because of their ability to take a broad view and see the whole picture. In contrast, those who tend to focus on daily tasks are better at managing things that don't change much or that require processes to be completely reliable. Task-oriented people tend to make incremental changes that reference what already exists. They are slower to depart from the status quo and more likely to be blindsided by sudden events. On the other hand, they're typically more reliable. Although it may seem that their focus is narrower than high-level thinkers, the roles they play are no less critical. I would never have gotten this book out or accomplished hardly anything else worthwhile if I didn't work with people who are wonderful at taking care of details. So Ray Dalio is saying that he is very good at focusing on goals and not so much on the details, and that he would not be able to write the book. So again, understanding who you are is going to allow you to surround yourself with people who are complementary to you. If you only surround yourself by other people who are all good at focusing on goals, but not actually executing, then nothing will ever get done. There'll be lots of great goals, but nothing will ever be done. So understanding yourself is a very important aspect of achieving greater success. Part G, workplace personality inventory. Another assessment we use is the Workplace Personality Inventory, a test based on data from the US Department of Labor. It anticipates behavior and predicts job fit and satisfaction, singling out certain key characteristics, qualities, including persistence, independence, stress tolerance, and analytical thinking. This test helps us understand what people value and how they will make trade-offs between their values. For example, someone with low achievement orientation and high concern for others might be unwilling to step on others' toes in order to accomplish their goals. Likewise, someone who is bad at rule following may be more likely to think independently. We have found that something like 25 to 50 attributes can pretty well describe what a person is like. Each one comes in varying degrees of strength, like color tones. If you know what they are and put them together correctly, they will paint a pretty complete picture of a person. Our objective is to use test results and other information to do just that. We prefer to do it in partnership with the person being looked at because it helps us be more accurate, and at the same time, it's very helpful to them to see themselves objectively. Certain attributes combine frequently to produce recognizable archetypes. If you think about it, you can probably come up with a handful of archetypal people you meet over and over again in life. The spacey, impractical artist, the tidy perfectionist, the crusher who runs through brick walls to get things done, the visionary who pulls amazing big ideas seemingly out of the air. Over time, I came up with a list of others, including shaper, chirper, tweaker, and open-minded learner, as well as advancer, creator, cat herder, gossiper, loyal doer, wise judge, and others. This reminds me a little bit of something that I used to love reading when I was a child. I used to go to the library a lot, and I thought I had a bad brain, so I studied everything I could on memory and the brain and read every book that the library had. And then I went to another library and read every book they had on the brain and memory. And so that was very useful. But another thing that I used to like reading was Agatha Christie. So I was a very big fan of Sherlock Holmes, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the author. And a friend of mine, when I'd read most of the Sir Arthur Conan Doyles, suggested that I then read Agatha Christie. And I did. Now, my favorite detective out of the Agatha Christie's was Hercule Poirot. However, she had another detective who she used called Miss Marple. Miss Marple was absolutely brilliant. She did what Ray Dalio is talking about here. She would take everybody that she'd meet and she would think about who they reminded her of, their mannerisms, their look, their way of doing things. And she would recognize that, let's say, for example, somebody looked like somebody that she used to know. Very often, when people look alike, they will act a little bit alike. When people act in a certain way, then they will also act in other ways that could be similar. So if you understand the person in front of you based on other people you know who are similar to them, you will find that they will very often be similar on multiple levels. So, for example, and obviously you don't want to stereotype here because it's not always going to be the case. But if you take a lot of male redheads, very often they get teased when they are younger. And so when they get older, they tend to be a little bit rebellious. And so if you have the knowledge of this with one person, it's not always likely to be the case, but it is more likely to be the case than, say, with somebody else. So I have found throughout my life that most redheaded people that I know, and it's not all of them, just to be clear, but a lot of them tend to have gone through a bit of a rebellious phase when they were teenagers. Now, I believe this relates to the fact that people in Western countries with a redheaded background are more likely to be teased. Now, there are two reactions. Some of them are going to become completely introvert based on that. Some of them are going to be more extrovert and rebel against it. So obviously, there is a mixture of reactions that people can have. But I found that the majority of redheads that I have ever met have gone through a bit of a rebellious phase during their teenage years. Now, that can play out in different ways when they mature and become a little bit older. But there are certain patterns that you can see amongst certain people. So extremely good-looking women tend to have men fall at their feet. And so they tend to have certain characteristics that they have in common, as opposed to people who may not be as attractive that quickly in other people's eyes. So based on somebody's looks and based on somebody's other characteristics, you can sometimes guess what kind of person that they are. And so the more you have this kind of information, the easier it becomes to deal with people. And that is going to be a big help for you in your investing journey. Because no matter what it is that you're doing investing-wise, there's always going to be an element of human interaction. So this is really good information. Okay, let's continue, and then we will finish up when we get to the end of this section. To be clear, archetypes are less useful than the better fleshed out pictures created through the assessments. They are not precise. They are more like simple caricatures. And that's what I'm describing with the redhead and the very, very beautiful young ladies. But they can be useful when it comes to assembling teams. Individual people will always be more complex than the archetypes that describe them, and they may well match up with more than one. For example, the spacey artist may or may not use also be a perfectionist or maybe a crusher too. While I won't go over all of them, I will describe shapers, the one that best represents me in some depth. So we'll continue with shapers tomorrow. But the one thing that I wanted to share about this is that on top of what I already mentioned, but the most successful investors are always going to create teams because we cannot achieve anything on our own. And it's something that I have not always been that good at because I am very good at doing things on my own. So it is very important for people with my personality type to become better at working in teams. And I have in the past, and I have my moments, but I am one of those flexors. So I'm able to change. So when I was at high school, I used to be very messy. And then I was able to change myself by modeling myself on somebody else that was very perfectionistic to become perfectionist. I wasn't the best perfectionist. However, I was able to make that shift. And the same thing applies when it comes to teamwork and business and also investing. Teams are going to have greater success than individuals because you have greater resources, greater access to ideas and other things. So it is very important when it comes to success in investing to make sure that you have a team that you can rely on. You might want to have a coach or a mentor. You want to have people who are able to help you with solving challenges that you might have. So you might be working on something and you might hire a VA or a virtual assistant, a team member or somebody who can help you to do certain research that you might not be so good at. So if you want to be successful, you want to be able to understand all of these things that we've been reading, because that is what we are going to be able to implement by having a team and having a well-oiled team as opposed to a team that falls apart because we haven't understood what Ray Dalio is talking about here, the different personality styles, because then the personality styles are going to clash. Boom. But if you put them together well and you understand how those personality styles would clash, you can prevent those clashes and you can work smoothly towards that goal. So very, very important. I just saw that somebody on Bigo said, thank you for this. I've learned a lot, Maria, with the strawberry. Thank you so much. And thank you for the heart as well. And everybody else that's been joining. Sam sent a heart. And let's have a look. Sam asked, what's happening? Reading Ray Dalio Principles. That's what's been happening. So it's been very, very good. And we've been talking about investing in different other things. Young God, good to see you again as well. And lots of people joining today. The list just goes on and on. 2 question mark joined and sent some hearts and flowers and something green. Looks like a peacock. Very, very nice. Jay sent a heart. So appreciate you all. And I will go back and say hello very soon. Here, Keenan Pearson sent a heart and P. Wang sent a heart. I think it's P. Wang or Wang, not sure. But great to have you all. Sabeki in 1985 also sent a heart, and lots of other people. So really appreciate you all. Sarah Sauer and Skylar Gray have been with us from the start. And I think, Skylar, you may have been before, or perhaps I am mistaking you with somebody else. Anyhow, it has been great having you all today. We're going to continue tomorrow. We will talk about, not this one. Here we go. Shapers, which is what Ray Dalio is himself. So we will continue with Ray Dalio Principles. We'll talk about shapers and the next section of this part of the book. Really appreciate you being here. Remember that if you would like to watch the rest of the videos, now we have high definition. The other ones are slightly less good quality. However, the content is where it's at. So if you'd like to watch the rest of the videos of me from the beginning of the book, or Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I've also read with my commentary, The Art of Thinking Clearly, which I've read with my commentary, feel free to go and have a look at that at YouTube. The YouTube channel is The Passive Cashflow Club, and you will be able to find us there. Please feel free to leave a comment and subscribe, because we also answer your questions. So if you send your questions through to Instagram, business_team_6_official, you'll be able to find me there and send me your questions, whether you have questions about the book, whether you have questions about things in the book, whether you have questions about the economy, whether you have questions about passive income or wealth creation, all of those different kinds of things. I am happy to answer those questions, and we put them up on YouTube. So make sure that you subscribe so that you know when we put those questions up. If you've asked a question, you will know when your question is being answered and when other questions have been answered. Even if you are shy and you have not asked a question, it might be that we answer a question that is relevant to you that will help you solve one of your investment challenges. So make sure that you also subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Passive Cashflow Club. So feel free to keep sending your questions. We have lots of questions coming in, and I really appreciate that. So business_team_6_official. Send me your questions there. And also get in touch and let me know what kinds of things you'd like me to read in the future, what kind of questions you have, obviously. And let me know if you're also interested in our events. We have an event coming up tonight, which is very exciting. This one is international because it's online. So we have our cash flow simulation, which allows you to practice investment strategies and investment techniques and learn from other like-minded people, share with other like-minded people, meet some really good contacts. And it is always a really, really great night. And we use an online simulator, which is similar to a pilot simulator, but for investing, so that you can actually understand taxes. So you can understand different investments, such as real estate, shares, crypto. We'll talk about whatever topics are of interest to you and make sure that you understand them better and how to put them into a strategy. So if you're interested in that, or our networking events, or our game nights, or our other events, get in touch on the Instagram and let me know, and we'll make sure that we send you the details so you can come and join us. And we would love to have you join us tonight. It is 6 p.m. Sydney time, which is whatever time it is in your time zone. There are online conversion calculators that you can use to figure out the time zone. Send me the details. And when you sign up, it should have it in your time zone anyway, so you don't even need to do the calculation. Nice and easy, and we would love to see you there. So get in touch on the Instagram, business_team_6_official. The 6 is a number 6. And I am looking forward to meeting you because so many of you are joining, and I would love to be able to get to know you better. For those of you who've asked questions, some of you are still a little bit shy and not sending as many messages about yourself. No need to be shy. I don't bite. I would love to get to know more of you. So keep those questions coming, and I would love to have a conversation with you and answer your questions as well. So really appreciate you all being here. I'm going to stop the recording and jump over to Bigo and say hello to everybody over there. OGMS King 420, OGMS King. Thank you for the hearts as well. I saw some other hearts coming through just then. Really appreciate you all. Looking forward to getting to know more of you because you are all really amazing. And I will see you all for another reading tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Sydney time. Always a pleasure. And we are learning and implementing so many good things from this book. So glad that we started this whole project. Remember to make the switch to unlock your rich. I'll see you tomorrow. And have an amazing day today and get close to those goals.